Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Pash On podcast. Let's get started with your host, Brian Pash.
Hi, this is Brian Pash, and welcome to another podcast session. On today's show, I'm so pleased to have Chip Perry, the CEO of A2Z Sync, with us. And we're going to tackle some tough questions that retailers are facing regarding the modernization of the retail customer experience and this fuzzy definition called digital retailing. Chip, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Brian. I'm thrilled to be here with you today.
So it's exciting that you are part of really a transformational time in the auto industry, heading up the vision at A2Z Sync, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But how long have you been working with the team? And of course, I've met them a number of years ago. So it was so good to connect good people with such an experienced leader. So what has the experience been like?
Well, thank you, Brian. I've been here since last summer. It's a continuation of my basically 25-year now career in the digital side of the automotive industry. I was really attracted to this place and this focus that we're taking because it's tackling what I think is the most important problem that an opportunity that the dealers have across America, which is the need to improve the customer experience, particularly the in-store side of it. There's so much talk about disruptors and people attacking traditional retailers and using the stereotypes, negative stereotypes of the retail experience as their angle in. And there is, even though there are exaggerations, there is some substance behind it because many people express a lot of dissatisfaction with the buying experience. So having a chance to work in this part of the industry, as opposed to the front end digital marketing side, is something very exciting for me.
Well, I'm glad that you're there because that is the hot spot right now. There's tremendous amount of money being pumped into fintech and to changing the customer experience. The other day, I went on live stream and I posed the question to the automotive industry, especially the digital retailing companies, is what problem are you trying to solve? And as the conversation evolved, it is clear that the answer will vary from company to company. And I thought we might want to really tackle a few of those as we lead up to our March 17th one-day event called Modern Retailing Simplified. And you're going to be presenting your vision for modern retailing. And we'll get to that in a minute. But Chip, let's tackle a few of the answers that I heard. One was digital retailing solves the problem of poor lead quality, meaning, hey, this tool, put it on your website and you'll get higher quality leads because you're giving the consumer more information, they're happier. And so the barter of more information to the consumer means they're more willing to give you information. But Chip, from your perspective, and we're not picking on any product or solution, but do dealers need more leads? Is that the pressing problem? What do you say?
Well, I think you're putting your finger on something very important, which is fundamental problem definition. And the digital retailing appears today to have a lot of different value propositions, meaning also the problems they're trying to solve. Lots of different value statements out there, which I think shows and signifies and illustrates the relative immaturity of the category because there's so many different ways of talking about it, thinking about it, and objectifying it. So I think the one you mentioned about poor lead quality is the common one where dealers are using it because they think it's a better way to get leads from their website. People are more engaged, they're providing more information, and lead quality I think is higher. The numbers I've seen, conversion rates on engaged digital retailing leads where people have configured payments and gone down the path of completing a credit app. If a credit app is completed, quality is significantly higher than even a normal digital retailing lead. A normal digital retailing lead it has a higher conversion rate than the old style form completions had. But I'm not sure that's what consumers would say the problem that should be solved is, meaning poor lead quality.
Right.
But there's other ways of looking at this. Some people talk about enabling customers to truly buy the car online and fixing the difficulty of buying a car completely online for those people who want to do that. Some people talk about the need for more operating efficiency and raising salesperson productivity, more cars sold per month. Some people talk about the need to raise customer satisfaction overall, and they cite research studies by saying that consumers who have engaged in digital retailing have twice the NPS that others do. And then there's some people talk about how it addresses a consumer's desire to complete some, if not all, but some of the process online, so they spend less time in the store. So there's a lot of different value props here, and I think it shows us that that there needs to be more clarity around this in order for digital retailing to really fulfill its potential in our industry. There's a lot of different visions for what it should be doing, both on the vendor end as well as the dealer end. There's a cacophony of voices and visions right now. Not a unanimity, not a unity, not a consensus at all, which I find very interesting.
Yes, it's not a barbershop quartet where everyone has their part. You mentioned 5 popular value propositions, and Chip, we didn't even compare notes before we got on this recording. These are the exact same ones I hear. Let me repeat them. Better lead quality, provide the consumer the ability to buy completely online, greater productivity for the agents so they can sell more, make more, and maybe that retains more sales associates. Overall customer satisfaction, try to beat down those historical pictures of what it's like to buy a car. And then the more reasonable one is just to save consumers time, let them do as much as they want online, finish it up in the store. And, this was not a formal survey, but the other day I was speaking at Bryant University to their entrepreneur class, and there was about 200 students online. And, I was sharing my story and journey in automotive marketing. And so some questions came up. What did I think of EV? What did I think about, companies like Carvana? And I asked the attendees, would you buy an $80,000 car without a test drive? And now these are young people primarily, in their 20s, and about 90% said no. And a couple of the anecdotal comments were, depends on the return policy. But the vast majority of them still want to touch and feel the car, which means that showroom experience is so critical. In fact, the value prop that it's going to allow consumers to buy online continually gets challenged because dealers are saying, look, only 5% or max 10% of my transactions are effectively done completely online. So that value propositions are on the short side of delivering a major impact on way that car buying is done. So Chip, from your research, what do you feel the appetite is for consumers completely buying cars online?
Well, to address, I will answer that. To address what you just said about, the common consumer, even young people asked about whether they want to buy a car online or not completely. There's a little bit of circular logic here, or self-fulfilling prophecy. If dealers are saying only less than 5% are actually happening, but the tools don't enable it, that could be the reason. Or it could be fundamental consumer behavior and skepticism about doing such a big deal at a distance, or the need to be in the store to confirm the information and to confirm the car and all the aspects of the deal. So I think the research sheds 2 different insights here. depending on how you ask the question. When you ask people outside of what the question you asked, would you like to be able to accomplish more of the automotive transaction online? Maybe even do it all online in a very convenient way. People say very, very significantly yes to that question. You ask it from a different angle by asking people how important is it for you, which is the way you did it essentially with those kids. How important is it for you before you actually sign the check and sign the paperwork when you're buying an expensive thing like a car, to be in the store confirming that that's the exact vehicle you want and all aspects of and you're comfortable with all aspects of the transaction before fully committing, including possibly test driving the car. And you ask it that way, people say, yes, it's very important to be in the store. So we have so depending on how you ask the question, and different pundits kind of cite the two different opposing viewpoints on this. And that's what one of the sources of confusion in our industry right now is the conflict of these two visions of what is reality. We read, and I was reading Automotive News, a news article talking about how, in the opinion of this writer, that consumers are demanding online transactions. Consumers are demanding it. So where does that come from? It comes from that one side. But I think we can't really generalize here.
That's
really
right.
Generalize. It's hard to generalize. But I would say that it's also important to ask the question, in addition to what problem is DR trying to solve, what is the most important problem that should be solved by dealers now? And that, I think, should be rooted or founded in a notion of where the most significant leverage for improvement in the industry, and the most significant leverage for securing the future of traditional car dealerships. Because if we have too short-term a view on this, we have to think about what's really at play here.
That's right.
The franchise dealer system is under siege. It feels a lot of forces now. Obviously the OEMs are always there, sticking their nose in ways that dealers don't like, and there's financial pressures. But I think one of the biggest, most interesting pressures and threats is from the disruptors. I call them the barbarians at the gate. All we have to do is watch these commercials from Vroom and have our skin crawl.
That's right.
At the negative stereotypes that they're throwing out there about car dealers. I mean, I find it personally disgusting and revolting.
Revolting.
Yes.
Yeah, there's been a huge outcry. One of our panelists, Kyle Monsier, actually recorded an amazing video to combat that, and he will be on our panel on March 17th talking about what his store is doing to combat the barbarians at the gate. So Chip, let's follow up on that.
Yes. So
if we wanted to really protect the franchise model, and if we know that still the vast majority of transactions are happening still in the store, and that's the customer experience where oftentimes things fail. I think expectations on dealer websites are really not very high. Wouldn't it make sense then, if we wanted to have the most impact in the next 3 years, instead of thinking 5-10 years, wouldn't it make sense to have more energy and focus on fixing the in-store experience than so much chasing what the perfect UX is on the web?
I think so, definitely, Brian, because most people are ending up in the store today, and I think that that it's important to have a point of view about what you believe the dominant mode for retail is going to be for the next 3 to 5 years, and if is the dominant mode going to be people buying cars online, meaning growing from 2, 3, 4% now to north of 50 in the next few years, or is the in-store experience going to continue to be the dominant mode of the way cars are sold. I'd really be interested in a point of view that says that online is going to take it over in the next 3 to 5 years, north of 50%, because I'm very skeptical of that notion.
Yeah.
So if it's in-store is going to be dominant, that means that that's where the biggest leverage is. And I think another point is that if we were able to get inside the war councils of the Barbarians, and we were able to hear them talk about what's going on with digital retailing in the real auto dealer world, I don't think we would find them quivering in their boots about what's going on with digital retailing tools on dealers' websites.
Yeah,
so
let me comment on that, because if we were doing something to really change the culture and experience at car dealerships, these barbarians would be shaking in their boots. I think what they're doing is they're laughing. It's like they're fighting over whether to unlock price or show price. They're fighting over, when to pop up a lead form. They're fighting over whether or not everything is penny perfect. I mean, if you look at the online reviews for Carvana, for example, they probably have the worst reviews in the automotive retail industry, but it isn't stopping them from having a greater market capitalization than AutoNation, Lithia, Asbury, Penske, and a whole group of others. There's some disconnect, but what if we really said, we are going to transform the in-store experience? 9 out of 10 sales are happening there. We're going to really change it to be more customer-centric. Chip, this concept has been talked about for years. The folks at Chomp Honda that I visited, their approach seemed more aligned with what the future should look like, but still so many dealers' mindsets are, just get them in, say whatever you can to get them in. And I'm not painting our whole industry like that, but this idea of, if we just get them in the door, we'll figure out how to make something work, which means a disjointed customer experience, probably not a consistent customer experience. Why do you think now, Chip, we could create a more efficient, more productive experience for our employees and a better customer experience for the consumer? Why now? Why do you think A2Z Sync and others could do it now and not 5 or 10 years ago?
Well, I think that the notion of how to streamline the process at a fundamental core level needs to address the structural flaws in the existing system, and you have to take a clean sheet of paper approach and pretend you're the man from Mars coming beep 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 into a dealership and saying, what's the ideal way with a clean sheet of paper for a car to be sold? And it wouldn't be with a multiple step, multiple person TO, waiting line for F&I, pressurized F&I sales situations. It wouldn't be that. And the industry has evolved to the point where it does have this complex, convoluted, traditional process. There are many well-meaning dealers who perform extremely well and provide good customer experiences because they're people focused. They want to have a good experience, and they've done the best they can. The problem is the structural flaws of the traditional process, which have built-in time sinks, and the requirement for introducing multiple people to the customer when a customer would really only like to deal with one person. Those structural flaws need to be attacked, and they're best attacked by taking a clean sheet of paper and asking the question, how would we simplify this if we were the man from Mars? And I think the way we'd simplify it is have one person handle the entire thing. Now, why hasn't it been done historically? Well, there's the embedded behaviors, there's the muscle memory, there's the culture of well-established now over the last 30 or 40 years, way cars are sold. The other, that's an inhibitor to change. The other big inhibitor to change is the lack of enabling technology. The way the industry has evolved and all the providers have evolved, we have a bunch of point systems that are stitched together by dealerships in a patchwork quilt of technology at any given store.
Yes.
There's no unified system that pulls it all together and enables one person. There hasn't been one person to handle the entire transaction. What excited me so much when I encountered the Champ Group and A2Z, which is an outgrowth of Champ, it's now a separate independent company, and with several groups outside of Champ as our clients. What excited me was I saw a practical technology platform that enabled a normal human being, not somebody with an S on their shirt, to actually conduct an entire transaction with a customer. I watched several of them, and I went to multiple stores out in both Champ and some of our other clients, and I watched it in action. I saw something that was so dramatically different and superior than the traditional process. I decided I want to become part of this. I want to help this company evolve and achieve its potential and really have a positive impact on our industry, because this is where I think the industry needs to go. And whenever we describe what we're doing, the industry leaders, their response is, well, yes, of course. Wouldn't it be great if one person could handle it all? The hurdles, which I'd like to talk about on March 17th, which are overcomable, are the clinging to a tradition. I would also say that the strong performance / complacency is getting in the way of tackling big problems. And then the fear also of loss of income and the amount of work that's involved in this are challenges. But to universally, all the dealers that I'm familiar with that have taken this journey to have one person handle the transaction have achieved amazing results. In contrast to the stereotypes I've heard thrown around since I've joined, I didn't really study, one person selling deeply over time because I was on the marketing side. But I've heard a number of people, throw rocks at this by saying, well, it was tried by X, Y, and Z and it didn't work. But that was before enabling technology was there.
Right.
And that was before, a proven implementation model was created. Dealers tried to do what I call a DIY approach. And it takes a little more than just self-inventing. There are some dealers that have done that pretty well, but there's a real knowledge base that gets built in this new way of selling cars. We at A2Z have now nearly 30 dealers who we've served and studied closely and have identified the best approaches. And it isn't the same one size fits all for every dealer, because every dealer starts from a different place. So we work to customize both the implementation roadmap and the training, as well as the technology for their needs. But I think that we're now in a new era is dawning, where it's possible to conceive of dramatically changing the customer experience and thinking of it as a reinvention from the inside out, rather than from the outside in, which is the thought process that's driven digital retailing up till now. And I've been a fan of digital retailing. I think it's brought transparency to the industry. It's improved lead quality. It's been a good thing, but it hasn't at a core fundamental level attacked that really most serious problem that the disruptors are aiming their bazookas straight at, which is the traditional car buying experience. Digital retailing is not going to solve that anytime soon.
That's right. And, Chip, I love the way you tell this story, because it is true that without enabling technology, one person can't do it. The average dealer probably has 6 or 7 different systems today in order to complete the transaction. That, there's a big can of worms there. The DMSs have never evolved. There is really silly thoughts, that have evolved over time, that, there should be one tool, that the CRM and DMS and the desking tool and other, it should be one tool, but it isn't. And how do dealers change now? How do dealers evolve now? How do they deal with the majority of the way the consumers want to buy today. And that's why I love your session that you're going to be doing. And also, Natasha Greiner from A2Z Sync is doing a workshop on the 17th talking about the online to in-store experience. I'm really excited that you're bringing real proven strategies, learnings, and really a blueprint for success for dealers who realize putting another widget on your website is not going to have a dramatic impact on the retail experience and really change public perception about what it means to buy at a franchise dealer. You know, dealers who are listening today, we've made March 17th a one-day, concise, save your time, condensed event from 10 a.m. East Coast time to about 6 o'clock. This is bringing the top technology companies together, the top thought leaders, the top dealership managers that are really leaning in. And this is absolutely an event to get signed up for. Not only is Chip the second keynote of the day, but I think he's going to set the stage, as you've already heard his passion. How does he help dealers fight the barbarians at the gate? And we know that modern retailing is going to have to address the immediate shortcomings, the shortcomings that the majority of the transactions are happening today, and that's in the showroom. Chip, I want to thank you for being on the podcast, getting people excited. If someone wanted to know right now a little bit more about A2Z Sync, what's the website link that they go to learn more or get a demo?
I would say thank you, Brian, that they should go to our website, A2ZSync.com, where we describe our technology platform and the approach that we take to help dealers in a very customized way take the journey from wherever they are, traditional one price, negotiating, already partially one person, to a full one person sales model. And we also have a number of very interesting case studies from our clients, the Nelson Group in Oklahoma, and Motorworks in Chicago, and the Champ Subaru store here in Denver on that website. So I suggest anybody who wants a preview can go there. Thank you for mentioning it.
Great. And I'll put the link in the comments as well. So Chip, thank you once again. And for all dealers, here's a reminder. Just go to brianpash.com, click on the events tab, and get yourself registered for Modern Retailing Simplified. It's March 17th. It is the single best, most authoritative, and most groundbreaking event to help our industry move forward. And as Chip mentioned, how do we defend, protect, and grow the franchise business model when barbarians are banging at the gate? This is going to be an amazing day. Don't forget to get registered. And if you love today's conversation, you should know that we have dozens of podcasts that have been recorded in the past with automotive thought leaders. You can view them on SoundCloud, Spotify, Google Play Store, Apple Podcast Channel, or you can go to brianpash.libsyn, that's LIBSYN.com. Thank you for listening, and we look forward to seeing you at the upcoming conference on March 17th.